Hey, aliens.
That's correct.
They're everywhere. They're in your background, actually. Is that the board game behind you?
It is. Right there.
Yeah, we gotta play that sometime. We're gonna do that. We're gonna have a whole board game segment of this channel, playing gaming related things.
Great idea. I love it. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
It'd be fun. Welcome to the Retro Boost podcast. A new paint job. We are moving into the future. The future is now, and the future is like very kind of depressing. And there's like you get like locked into contracts and can't leave planets that have no sunlight. And all your computers run on DOS. This is the world of Alien, and it's one that I want to live in really bad.
Yes, it's one that we get to talk about today. Very excited about that. We went and saw Alien Romulus, and we've kind of expressed our baseline thoughts, but we haven't really dug into exactly what we thought about the film. So really looking forward to that today. I've been excited about sitting down and kind of combing through this film with you and kind of picking your brain on your thoughts on the film.
Oh yeah, that's what we're gonna be doing. Before we get to the main discussion, we got some stuff to recap and stuff to talk about as well. Else things going on in the gaming world. So we're gonna talk about some developments from a previous podcast we did. Following that, we're gonna go into some stuff that's being played right now, kind of hot, and some stuff coming out in the near future that we're both looking forward to. So, without any delay further beyond what I say right now, and we'll continue to filibuster and delay forever, let's get into it. Now, what did we get into last time? I think it was also Alien related, wasn't it?
Yes, we discussed 1, 2, 3, and your favorite 4.
My favorite's definitely Covenant.
Oh.
Yeah. So last time we talked about mainly Alien and Aliens, and then we briefly touched on Alienses and Alien 4.
I forgot to mention something about Alien 3 that I absolutely love.
Oh.
Charles Dance is incredible in that film. That's all I wanted to say.
Is it because you love Game of Thrones, or is he just, if you didn't see Game of Thrones, you'd still love him? Aha!
Game of Thrones has something to do with it. I mean, Tywin Lannister is a straight G. But after I saw him in Game of Thrones, I remember going back to Alien 3 and thinking, oh, no wonder I thought that the character is so good, because Charles Dance just kills the role. Like he's really good in that movie.
He genuinely does, and he is good in that movie.
Yeah,
that movie is bizarre because it has it's just so okay, but the budget for it was kind of insane. So the production value and performances are really good. You showed me that dog video. That was kind of the most recent thing. I don't have it here, but look it up. They did preliminary testing for the quadrupedal xenomorph by putting this small dog in the costume. It was running around the set.
Hilarious. And they tried to do a scene, and the way that the dog moved, it was just
he moves too
funny.
It's too small. They needed a Great Dane. What are they doing with this little dog?
Yes.
To already know the story of that movie, having a very troubled production, seeing that is the cherry on the sundae. It's dude, on top of everything else, this happened at one point too.
100%.
In other news, one podcast we did a while back, a long time ago, was on Helldivers 2. And I made a joke saying hey, depending on where this game is, either congrats to you, Arrowhead, or shame on you. And oh boy, did the shame roll in, because right after our podcast was the big PlayStation account linking disaster that led to the game being delisted and their player base cut in half immediately, and then more afterward. Still not available in a lot of those territories, by the way. And then after that, in May, the Polar War Bond came out, and that was the one that just broke everything. Because, like, everything came, like, the joke was it all came pre-nerfed. And, like, the reputation-wise, like, they were done. Like, it was over. Like, it was just the final kind of death blow. And, like, the player base went even further into the negative. The reality is every game will eventually find its player base, right? But Helldivers just, like, kept shooting its own kneecaps off, and, like, that number probably would have been way higher now if a lot of this didn't happen. They're currently on a 60-day program to fix a lot, if not all of this, and as of present recording, that has not been released yet, so we don't know where it's at. When was the last time you played Helldivers, Tory?
When the Polar War Bond came out, that was the last time that I played that game. You know, it's a shame because I thought for a while, you know, because of the hype behind the game, because of how well it had done, I thought it was almost a shoo-in for Game of the Year because of you know how well it had done with the player base, how much noise it made in the industry, you know, all of those things, and it's just such a shame because it's so hard to nerf a PvE game to the point to where the players don't want to play it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we have right now with that. And I think it's really a shame. Yeah, because, like, typically you think PvP games are really the ones where, you know, you really have to find a good balance. You know, things can be nerfed, things can you know, the meta can change, right? But in a PvE game, you know, that challenge isn't really there. So what you found in that game is a lot of times the things that players liked to use would just get nerfed. You know, I remember early on, the railgun was really the first thing that I loved to use, and then all of a sudden it was a waste of a slot, and I didn't understand how you could nerf a PvP game out of existence like that, and I think it'll go down as one of the bigger like industry fumbles, you know, of all time.
Yeah,
close
for
to
sure.
Concord.
Well, yeah, then we'll get to that one. Yeah, like they're treating this PvE game that advertises being overpowered as this, like, ultra precise competitive PvP experience that's played at EVO for prize pools of $2 trillion. And, like, the running joke in the community was every time that you have fun with something, they nerf it. And yeah, like, it's kind of nuts. The really strange thing that I'll kind of, like, leave it on is, like, I've never really seen a situation where the communication is, like, flawless. Like, their communication with the fans is way better than, like, any other game I've ever seen in my life, and yet it doesn't help. they're right. Like, oh, cool, you hated X, Y, and Z. All right, cool. I'll fix X. I'll make Y even worse. And then this patch will make Z have a glitch that didn't exist before, and you can't even do the thing anymore. Like, that became the pattern. They would, like, fix something, and something else would break even more, or get nerfed, and then some other third thing would be, like, a new glitch that, like, was never experienced before. Like, oh, man. Like, that was the pattern throughout all of, like, May and June. And then things just finally hit a point where they were like, we have to, like, just do a whole kind of reevaluation here, which led to this 60-day plan that they're on currently. So just absolutely crazy. Like, it's really funny how quickly it just dove off a cliff after we talked about it on the podcast for the first time.
It's almost like we had a hand in it.
Yeah, maybe. Also,
it's a shame too, because, like, really enjoyed playing the game. Like, we all played it. You know, we all played it on PS5. You played it on PC. And, like, we had a great time with the game, but it just kind of ran its course, and it's kind of the way it works.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say on it is to really put it in perspective. It's a PvE game, lots of different enemy types, right? You got small guys, big guys, giant guys. The giant enemy of the bug faction. It's called a Bile Titan. There's a glitch discovered very early on in the game's life cycle, like maybe 1 or 2 months in, 3 at the most. That there's a glitch where shooting it in the head will sometimes result in 0 damage. As of the time of present recording, that has not been fixed. That's the Helldivers experience, kind of in a nutshell, right there.
How?
Yeah, there it is. With that said, it's like such a fun game. Even currently, it's still fun. It's just like all these problems. So yeah, Helldivers, interesting story. Let's talk about some current stuff though. So let's talk some current events. We're going to talk about games being played now, and / recently, some new release opinions, and then some stuff we're looking forward to that's on the horizon. Tory, what you playing recently?
So I've been playing Black Myth Wukong. It's a some people say it's not a Souls-like, but I'm going to say it's a Souls-like here.
It's an interesting topic there, that whole debate.
Yeah, for sure, man. There's been a lot of internet discourse about, is it a Souls-like, is it not? I'm going to say that it is. It does borrow a lot from a lot of different games. I completed Black Myth Wukong a few days prior, and I loved this game. I thought it was really, really great. There were a few times where it missed the mark a little bit, but the boss battles were really good. The graphics, as you'll see in some of these stills, were really good. The music was okay. A lot of times with these Souls-like games, the tunes, are really a big part of it. Didn't really catch that here. There were a few notable tracks, but not anything like a Dark Souls 3. The challenge was good. All in all, it was a great game. Probably deserves to be in the dialogue for Game of the Year. Not sure it's going to win it, but I certainly put it, in that list. So, yeah, really enjoyed this game, and I recommend it to anybody who likes this sort of a game.
It's been extremely successful. It had sold like 10 million in the first few days, and it's like projected to reach 30 million, which for a single-player title like this, and from what I understand, it's the studio's first title as well.
That's right.
That's an incredible achievement. The game looks and plays great, so I would say that they deserve it. They're already planning some future projects which, similar to this game, are aligned with like mythology and mythological stories, which is a really cool theme to grab onto. For any Dragon Ball fans out there, this is based off of Journey to the West, which was like the direct inspiration for Dragon Ball and Goku and whatnot. The power pole and the fact that he's a monkey boy, like all that stuff. The flying Nimbus,
yep.
Like it's all there. It is.
Oh yeah.
Like it's all from that. So it's a cool way to experience a very modern kind of take on some of that story beats, which is really interesting. Now you got something else that you're playing currently, ain't you?
I do, yeah. I've been playing early access Space Marine 2. I'm not a huge 40K fan, haven't really, experienced it. I have played a few of the games before. I played Mechanicus on Switch, really enjoyed that. I played Bolt Gun a little bit, enjoyed that. Love the world, love the aesthetic, love the environments. And I've really enjoyed Space Marine 2. It has a single-player campaign that I've really enjoyed. It has co-op as well, 3-player co-op, and 6v6 PvP, which has been really fun. The game will launch tomorrow, so really excited for that. I got a lot of friends playing it, so looking forward to getting into some co-op stuff. Not sure if Mike's going to get it, but hope he does. It does have cross-play, which is exciting. But yeah, really enjoyed it. You can customize your dude, give him all the colors. There's skill trees. There's a lot of advancement going on with your guns and your swords and your hammers and all that stuff. So really been enjoying the game and can't wait for it to launch tomorrow.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I was working at GameStop when the first of this specific thing came out, and it just kind of came and went. Like it got kind of middling reviews and had its fans, but it just kind of like blew by. And this really seems like the kind of the big comeback kid situation here. Like it's already getting very positive reviews. It has extremely high production value. I've seen gameplay that you sent me. It comes across as like one of those like launch games that's like meant to like really sell you on the whole just idea of being jazzed to game on your game console. Like when you first sent that to me, my mind first went to stuff like like just the launch titles in general. Like it was making me think of like when you get a new game console and you're playing that new game, like kind of like how like Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare like first hit people / like how Halo 2 first hit people like on PlayStation on PlayStation 4, you know, playing like Killzone Shadowfall or something. Like you're seeing like this immense production value. Only unlike some launch titles, it seems to have depth, because a lot of the mistake that some launch titles make is it's all scope and no substance. This does not seem to have that problem. I'm curious to see Henry Cavill's opinion too. He's notably a Warhammer fan, so I wonder if he'll be playing it.
I'm sure if he does, he will enjoy it. You know, this game seems to really be made for the fans, and I know that they're gonna really enjoy it. My brother is a huge 40K fan, and I know he's really excited for it. We actually played some co-op today, which was really fun. We had a really good time with that, and the game's really fun. Like you said, it's getting good reviews. And I can't wait for it to launch and kind of see how the community responds to it. I know there's like this Helldivers 2, Space Marine 2 type thing going on, but you know, we're just blessed as a community to have good games to play, and I wish it would kind of stay with that.
Absolutely. I'll definitely pick it up at some point. It has my interest. Let's shift our focus to the horizon. We've had some recent trailers for different things drop as of late. I think the most recent thing from Nintendo as of present filming is the newest trailer for the upcoming Zelda game, which it looks like it's a spiritual sequel to like the remake of Link's Awakening. Also has some like mechanics from Tears of the Kingdom, which is pretty interesting. All in all, it looks pretty cool.
Yeah,
what do you think?
Very excited for this. I think it really kind of has the really unique gameplay elements that Nintendo has really done a great job with. You look at Super Mario Odyssey, Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, the way that they've utilized their first-party IPs in unique ways seems to be, on par and kind of continuing that theme here. So really excited to see reviews for this, and I might end up getting this. Not sure yet, but looks great.
Yeah, I'll probably pick it up at some point, but not out of the gate. But definitely at some point I would like to try it. Another one coming out that I definitely am gonna get day one is we got Mario and Luigi coming back, and first time on consoles. Mario and Luigi Brothership is coming out, and kind of like Pokemon. The Mario and Luigi franchise here is landing on consoles for the first time on the Nintendo Switch. I'm not sure what the last entry in that franchise was. I think it was there's like a bunch. There was like two or
Inside Story.
There's one after that, and I forget what it is. But that's like that it's either that one or one right after that, because there were like two of them on 3DS.
Gotcha.
And we haven't seen anything since, and that was a long time ago. Definitely more than 5 years ago. It is, I think.
Heard that.
For all I know, it came out 2 months ago. So it's been a while. I have played a lot of the first one, which I'm pretty sure is Superstar Saga. So if you like Paper Mario, that's kind of what that franchise is in a sense in terms of its core gameplay, although it definitely takes it to the next level because the action commands are a little more intense and involved. But it's very exciting seeing it come to consoles, period, for me, and that it's gonna be great. Like, it looks like a lot of fun.
Totally agree. I absolutely loved Partners in Time. I actually believe that was a DS title.
Yeah, that was DS. So
DS
yeah,
title,
Superstar Saga was Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, loved that game, loved that series, and this is definitely going to be one that I play for sure. Kind of like you, not sure out of the gate, but it's one that I know I'll play and I know I'll really enjoy it.
Yeah. All right, so there's some stuff here and coming out soon, so let's move on to the main topic of the podcast, Alien Romulus. In space.
No one can hear you scream. Is that the line?
Situationally.
Situationally.
So, we're going to talk about Alien Romulus now. I was debating if this should be spoiler-free or spoilers, and I've decided I think spoilers is the way to go. So,
yeah,
spoiler
as long
warning.
as we have... Yeah, spoiler warning.
And for just some fun visual stuff in the background, I got a gameplay of Alien Isolation playing. I thought that'd be more fun than just a static image of a poster for Romulus or something. So that's gonna run back there. So Alien Romulus. All right. So where did we leave off here? Alien Covenant was the last Alien movie, and then Alien versus Predator Requiem was the last kind of hybrid movie. And then AVP 2011. No, that's not true. Alien Fireteam Elite, I think, was the last like big game. Bottom line is, it hasn't been great. Covenant was like just garbage.
Yeah.
AVP Requiem, I think might be a good movie, but I can't see it. It's like the darkest movie ever made. It's so like, I don't know, it might be great. Who knows? No one can see it. So yeah, when they announced Romulus, it was kind of like the panic in my head was that it was gonna be another Ridley Scott movie, and I was like, oh no, here we go again. But then it's not, and it was like, oh, okay, all right. Yeah, it's good.
Directed by, I'm assuming it's Fede Alvarez. I think that's how it's said. Typically, he does horror films. He did the 2013 Evil Dead remake, which I love. And I share your opinion. I thought the movie was really good, and I actually have a smoldering hot take for the first like 45 minutes, where I think that it's without a doubt the best Alien stuff we've gotten since Alien 2, Aliens. I just thought it was great. The first part of the film I thought reminded me of Alien 3 with how everything was like really like metal and hot, and it kind of reminded me of the set pieces from Alien 3. And then the middle of the film was like Alien to a T. Like it was very dark, very scary, very tense. Nobody knew really what was going on. Then you had bits of Alien 2 in there. You know, once they got the guns, it really started to kind of have that pace to it. And it did that throughout. You know, it took from 3, it took from 1, it took from 2, and unfortunately it took from 4. And we'll talk about that too. But yeah, I thought the film was great. I thought, you know, for what they spent to have it made, I thought that they really, really did a great job with the visual effects.
That's
and
the
if
thing,
anybody,
right?
yeah,
Because they put the money to use mostly for real stuff. It's actually kind of shocking how much of that movie is practical / real sets.
it's amazing.
It continues to surprise me which shots are like at least partially, if not fully, like a real environment that they're in, plus tons of animatronic and costume work. They definitely made like every penny count. It's not like Alien 3, where it was just this money pit, where at one point there was a dog running around on set with the costume on.
Right. But yeah, I thought the film was really, really entertaining. I thought the cast was good. There wasn't anybody in there that I really knew, but I thought that they all did a really good job. Dora the Explorer.
Dora.
Yeah. And she did a great job. Like
Yeah,
she was the lead, right?
No, I think she was the girlfriend.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I think I might have that mixed up because now I'm not remembering their faces. I'm mixing up their faces in my mind.
Got
I'm
it.
pretty sure it's the girlfriend who's asleep in the beginning is Dora. Could be wrong.
Gotcha.
But I'm pretty sure.
Have to throw some kudos. I really thought that, it's so tough because the only thing that's good in my opinion about Prometheus and Covenant is Fassbender as an android. He absolutely kills that role. So when I was seeing online a lot of reviews of Romulus saying that Andy is the best portrayal of a artificial person we've seen in the entire series, it's really, really hard for me to agree with that. But I don't want to take away from the fact that he did an incredible job, and I honestly think that Andy was the best character in the film.
Yeah.
From the way that the character acts in the beginning to the way that the character acts, in the meat of the film, and then the way that the character is at the end. A really, really great representation of an android in that world.
I agree. I honestly think that he probably is the best out of all the franchise. It's close though, because I do really enjoy Michael Fassbender as everything he's done. Walter and David were both like the interesting characters, and similarly to me at least, the most interesting characters per each of their movies.
100% agree with that.
But Andy in Romulus just kind of captivates immediately, and then like it's just really cool, like how his character like literally transforms partway in the movie, and yet he's able to still have like so much of the soul of what the original thing you first saw is like still there after he's changed, and then he goes back again. He is definitely my favorite character of that movie, and one that I was definitely like worried in return, like I don't want to see him die, like no, like I genuinely was like, I want Andy to make it to the end credits, please. as the movie progressed.
Yeah, I had a sneaking feeling that we were going to get a Bishop type scenario where he was going to get like brutally killed at the end, and they were going to use the android white blood stuff, and it was going to be like really gory and cool. But spoiler alert, we did not get that, which was great because the character
good. I don't want him to. I don't want him to die.
Well, and there was, you brought it up after we walked out of the theater, but there was one specific moment in the film that I thought really kind of showed the audience kind of what to expect out of Andy from that point and then until the end of the film. The sequence where they're in the smaller red room with all the face huckers falling into the water, and once the chip finished up, he grabbed the tail really fast, and that was, you hadn't really had anybody in the film that had really showed any sort of like courage or strength or anything, and that was an immediate sigh of like, I think they're gonna be okay. Andy's got his chip thing, and he's gonna know what's going on. He's gonna know what the things are. He's gonna be able to get these doors right. Like he's really, really gonna help. And it really created an element to the film that you definitely didn't have up until that point.
Yeah, because I am really an advocate for, I want to see androids versus xenomorphs at some point in this franchise. Because Bishop, that doesn't happen in Aliens. He gets backstabbed, right? Doesn't happen in Alien Resurrection because it's a terrible movie. Even though it could have had it in that one technically.
Poor Paul.
God. And like Romulus gives us kind of taste of that. Someone that has like incredible strength and reflexes to just like toss away face suckers like they're nothing like that. Like I want to see him, like I want to see an android grapple and get in a fight with like a xenomorph. We got a really brief taste of it in Covenant. It's like my favorite scene in Covenant probably is when Walter punches the Neomorph and like his hand just is obliterated. Like, I want more of that. Give me more. And like Romulus gives us some of it. It's really cool. So Romulus, like you said, starts off. It's probably it's one of the at this point. There's not a lot of planet side stuff in this franchise, so. We get like a different and very new perspective on the world of Alien. This movie, much like Mad Max Furiosa, does an incredible job of expanding the universe. The previous movies have given us these tiny little glimpses here and there, and this one, much like Furiosa, unveils the curtain and like shows us all kinds of cool stuff. I really like that, like. Society, like it really makes it seem like the Ripley gang on the Nostromo have like a very premium level job compared to what else is out there in this world, because like these poor people are like contracted and just stuck mining stuff all day long. It's very interesting. I thought it was really cool, and also worth mentioning. Again, screw you, Prometheus and Covenant, for taking the lazy road here. We get the aesthetic of the original two movies. Everything is like kind of retro tech. And my first opinion on that is, although yes, the original movies like had to do that because that's all they had for filmmaking technology, there is definitely an argument to be made that a spacefaring society would have technology like that. It's rugged, it's simplistic, it's mass producible if it's simple like that. Like it doesn't jump out or come across as like super weird. I think Romulus updates Alien and Aliens' retro tech in a way that makes it a little more presentable. But still honors that like old school vibe that the technology in those original movies have. I thought that was the best part of it for me. Every time that they're messing with electronics, I'm just like, oh, it's so cool.
No, I completely agree with you, and I think, you know, if you go back and you listen to our podcast on kind of what we want out of this film, you know, we had said that based on everything that we had seen up to this point, it looks like we're getting an Alien film that's made by an Alien fan. And
yep.
I think that comes from that. I think that he knew the style that he needed to hit, and I think that he knew that fans of the series wanted to see that again. And I completely agree with you. Like every time you'd see a computer loading text and you'd hear that like like, oh, it was so great.
It adds to the the kind of horror to it too, because like the original Alien, that opening scene where it's just the ship in darkness and it's just this computer sounds is kind of creepy. Like it can be used to like make the mood work better. This is really cool. I love that it had that. It adds a level of consistency as a sequel that the previous movies just didn't really have. Like even Alien 3 like didn't really have much of that. So it jives better. It's kind of like Rogue One, you know, segueing right into Star Wars 4. Like this one just jives really well with its counterparts.
Yeah. So based on this review so far, you probably think that, you know, we're both going to give this movie a 10 out of 10, and that's not the case. So let's move into some things that we maybe didn't like about the film, because I've got a few things that I'd love to bring up. I know that, you know, a lot of people, they have a concern with the CG Ash, right? Or Rook, I guess is his name.
Yeah. Ash 2.0.
I didn't have too big of a problem with that, and I wouldn't have cared at all if he would have had one scene. But he was like a recurring character that wouldn't go away. And I thought it was a very strange design choice for the film, because the CG was not very good.
No.
So why put yourself in a position where you have to constantly remind the audience that that exists. I didn't quite understand, and I felt that if he only had one scene, they probably could have created an animatronic and then not have his face move and just have the voice come through like it's a machine, because that's what he is, and that would have remedied all of that. And so I'm a little bit surprised that that's the design choice that they went with.
Yeah, I remember whispering to you in the theater that like that character should have just been literally any other person on this planet. Like there's no reason for it to look like Ash from, or be Ash from Alien. It's Rook, but like, you know, it's Ash. Right. It's the same soul of the thing is the same. Now at first my gut reaction was, that's kind of bizarre, because the whole point of Ash's character is that Ash was swapped onto the Nostromo's crew last minute by the company because they knew about the beacon on LV-426, and he was put there to ensure that they investigated thoroughly, and you know, he does what he needs to do to preserve whatever they find. And it's a twist that he's an android. If that's a mass-produced model, that twist can't work. Because they would have known, like, oh, that's the model 125 series science officer. However, I think what it really is that like that's one of the first of his kind. So like, I think Parker or something makes a reference to like hearing rumors about how they are advancing synthetics. And that's why it's a surprise. So he's like one of the first basically in the field or whatever. But the whole, it's just like, all of those thoughts are going through my head when I should be like loving the movie. And it's all because of this unnecessary cameo thing that doesn't even look that good. Like he's like, it's not good. It just looks strange as you're watching it.
I think like the idea works. Like it's cool to have somebody who can like bring up the old film and be like, oh, they found this thing. She blew it out of the airlock. Look at its corpse up there. It was in a meteor thing. We found the like all that stuff's fine. Like I have no issue at all with the story beats of him being involved. But it really should have just been that first scene when they find his corpse and plug him up, and then he says all the thing. And that should have been that. And they should have moved on from the film. But he like, it was almost like he was the DM and they were playing and he was like, hey, if you do this one thing for me, I'll unlock this door. And it's like, what are we doing right now? Like we did not need that at all.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely.
One other thing that was kind of a letdown. I'm glad it was in the film because it needed to be and it had to be, but I didn't really feel like the payoff was really there. The chest burster scene I did not think was all that great. I was expecting a little bit more, and I didn't feel like I got really what I wanted out of that.
It was fine to me. I thought it was a little more
it was more realistic.
Yeah, I'm about to say, sure. Because like her like sternum or whatever is like being ripped out of her when the thing comes out of her. So I felt like it was more realistic in that sense. That actually brings one thing I kind of thought watching the trailers was that I thought there'd be more characters, honestly. With a movie like this, there's only so much you can do with 5 people. It's like you can't have them all get murdered off immediately, right? So like, I would have liked it if there were just a few more people. But the give and take there is that the more people you have, the less identity they have. Not every movie can be Aliens and have just this huge cast of like likable and memorable characters, right? It's not possible. With that said, the 2 things I want to get across that I thought were pretty cool. Number 1, I really do like the way that it ties into the franchise as a sequel. I think it's genius that what they salvage is the xenomorph that Ripley blasts out of the airlock. Xenomorphs are like water bears. They can go into like stasis in a vacuum. So the thing is just in suspended animation in space for like 20 years, and they find it, and it's not dead yet. It reanimates or whatever, and then causes chaos. That's cool, and I like that. Not one part of that bothers me. I was kind of wondering how this is going to tie into the franchise. I was like, is this going to be another colonist that like finds the shipwreck on LV-426? Like, what's going to happen? So I love that. That's great. Secondly, as someone who just endlessly didn't like a lot of stuff about Prometheus and Covenant, this movie is like a hot fix. It's a DLC update that makes those movies better. Because we finally know what the black fluid is. Questions that were never answered and were only more questions. We now know, and it kind of changes a lot. It fixes so much stuff. Because now we know why the gestation period is like so fast, basically. Or in turn why it's not if the facehugger's just on longer. Like we know that now. It's just really cool. Like I love that we now know that it's a part of the xenomorph physiology, and like it just answers every question. Now we know what the eggs were doing on the crashed ship. They were there because they were experimenting on that species, and they were going to take them to the next place to do experiments with them. Like it's just really cool. I love that so much.
What was your favorite sequence in the film? It could be a kill. It could be. I'll go first. The face hugger scene in the little water was, to me, the tensest the entire film got. Like that was, to me, that was the absolute peak. And then when they broke out of the door and you saw all of them trying to get out of the door,
yes.
That, I mean, you were sitting right by me, dude, and I was like jumping out of my seat during that entire scene because I thought, man, this is exactly what we want. And to me, that was like peak of the film. Like, man, this is really, really good. And it all looked so good. And best part of the film for me.
That scene works really well for a couple reasons. Number one, I mean, we know it's coming. We don't know who's gonna get face hugged technically, although having watched the movie now, there's a way to tell. But so there's that inherent suspense of like knowing what's coming, right? But like the other element that works really well is kind of how unpredictable the whole situation plays out. So like the first Alien versus Predator, the cast is split into two groups kind of out of the gate. There's the group that goes exploring and the group that stays in the room. And the room gets all shut down and the eggs come up. You know they're all screwed. Like not a single one of them is coming out alive, and you just know that. You're just waiting to see the facehuggers leap around, right? But in this situation, it's not cut and dry like that. Like there's a lot of X factors. Like the water complicates how they can attack the characters, which gives them a sort of advantage to hang on. You got Andy finishing his update and like fighting him off, and then they're in a chase scene. Like it's just so hard to like predict that outcome the first time you're watching it that it made it very suspenseful. That was a really cool sequence. I think my favorite like moment was when Dora the Explorer is locked locked inside the room, and like Andy won't open the door, and it's because he says that's exactly what it's waiting for, and he's right. The xenomorph sits up on that perch just watching him for like 10 seconds, and then when it thinks, okay, they're not gonna open the door, then it jumps in and grabs her. And I was like, that's just cool. Like that's the cool thing about xenomorphs. They're not like stupid, unrealistically smart, but like they are clever. And like that moment was just like super interesting and tense to me, seeing their intellect kind of play out there. He was like, I could kill the one lady, but if I wait, her friends will open the door for me. Like that's like what's going through that thing's mind, like during that sequence. The birth sequence was also really cool too, when the xenomorph comes out of the cocoon and it's like, you know, it looks like the first movie. It's got that translucentness to it. That was also like really cool too.
Yeah, because throughout the film they kind of project to the audience that there's only one drone, right? Just like in the first film. And I feel like the movie does a really intentional job with announcing there's more than one.
Yeah.
When they stuck dude through the tail and then pulled them up and then brought the camera back and you saw 3 of them running through the vents, I was like, wow, okay, yeah, this is, and you saw the creep. And anybody who's seen these films in the past knows when you see creep, like, that means there's drones somewhere, right? And he got a really, really cool death too. And I love the fact that you actually got to see it for a minute. We rarely get to see a zoomed out shot of someone got in the face by the Minnie Mouth, right?
The head bite. Yeah.
We rarely see it.
I thought that too. Normally it cuts away, or like it's a super cropped, zoomed in kind of thing. Like with Parker, it's like super zoomed in the first movie, and then you don't even see it happen to Burke. It's just off screen. Those are the two right there. Like, that's it. AVP, I think AVP-R did it, but again, it's so dark that I don't know if it did it. For all I know, they were just hugging.
Yeah, who knows?
It's a good point. Yeah, like he gets, that whole thing was a mess, because that's also a good example of like, yeah, they harvest some people, but they're also hungry, and you don't want to be the guy that gets killed by them when they're hungry, because he just got blended. Like every direction, just chaos coming at him.
Definitely.
That was a cool twist too, because it wasn't really clear if this was going to be like a full infestation or not. It's kind of a surprise to see that like there is an infestation here and there is a hive. We didn't get to see any kind of like queen or matriarch though. That's okay though. We don't have to have that in every movie.
Agreed.
That didn't bug me at all. One thing I'll have to watch it again and pay really close attention. I'm not sure if this movie was following the kind of like James Cameron approach where it's like drones initially and then like they grow into the ribbed warrior version after enough time. I couldn't tell if there were any like warriors on screen, but again, not a big deal, because that hasn't been like a universally followed rule. It just depends on whatever adaptation's doing it. Like that Alien Fireteam game made warriors like this entirely separate cast of xenomorph that are like way bigger and stronger, which is not like aliens. But I was kind of like looking for stuff like that. I was like, okay, we're expanding the world. Are we going to expand on the creatures at all? They didn't, but that's okay, because the movie's still great, and you know they look great. It was really cool seeing the original xenomorph from the first movie, but like done with a higher budget, basically. That design is ultimately timeless. Is the lesson here, including seeing the skull behind the head cover. You see that twice. You see the corpse of the original but also I'm pretty sure you can see it through the translucent skull of the one that gets born on the ship too. I'm pretty sure I saw it. This is cool, man. Lots of detail. Like there's just tons of detail. The movie is a love letter, like all the way through in that regard.
What was your what's your thoughts on the human alien hybrid?
It didn't do anything for me.
So,
in terms of homages to what came before, there are lots of moments that are like repeats of things we've seen, whether it be just shots, or just like lines, or just kind of things playing out. It's very similar, although not as extreme as Star Wars Episode 7 is to Episode 4. It isn't like a literal remake in that sense, but there are still tons of references. And for the record, I like Star Wars Episode 7, but you do have to realize that it's a remake of New Hope. That doesn't inherently, it's not a bad thing inherently, but it is reality. So Romulus is like that in terms of just like tons of little references. And that, to me, is like, okay, we're trying the Alien Resurrection newborn thing again. It's done better, but I really personally would have preferred to see like some totally new wild thing. Because that's not a new idea. It's done in a new way, granted, in a very horrifying way, but the creature itself, once on screen and the way that it's dealt with, to me, just wasn't that terribly interesting.
I thought it was shot really well. I liked the fact that it was actually a guy. I liked that a lot.
He's a basketball player.
Yeah. I thought it added to the horror element of the film for sure. Could have gone without it entirely. To me, that was one of the missteps of the film, and that was one of the parts that it took from Alien 2, right? So the human hybrid thing is straight from 4, but prolonging what you believe to be the end of the film and creating some new thing is straight out of 2.
Yes.
You know, they fly off the ship, the station explodes, there's peace for a minute, and then boom, the alien queen is there, and all of a sudden you're getting incredible moments in the loader. You're getting Bishop ripped in half, like you're getting all this great stuff. 5 minutes before that, you thought the film was over and the credits were going to...
Yeah.
This movie did something similar, but I thought that it could have completely avoided that entirely, and been fine. And I think the audience would have been okay with it. But they decided to throw that in there and add it, and it's fine, I guess. But like I said, if it was me, I could have gone without it.
It's a 50-50 mixture of stuff we've seen from Prometheus and the newborn from Resurrection.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I said, it's done better than Resurrection for sure. I think that scene in Prometheus is probably one of the best scenes. It's just so horrifying when she has to like get the monster removed from her in that surgery scene. Like that's probably the best scene in the movie. It's just so freaking horrifying. So I don't know. Like I would have preferred, you know, just something else, anything else, basically.
I would have been completely fine if there would have been a xenomorph on the ship and they would have had this really scary, tense moment that is just ripped out of the first film. Where because they even took from some of that, like blasting it out of the airlock, her putting on the suit really slowly.
Yep.
While the thing was in the room, like. All of that was pulled from one, and they could have removed the weird human thing and just made a xenomorph in there, and we would have loved that, right?
Yeah, I would have really loved to see like some new spin on the xenomorphs, or even just one that's from the comics and hasn't been on screen yet, like a Praetorian or something. Like I don't know, anything basically.
Something.
I appreciate the effort, and the thing, the makeup is like really good. Like it is S-tier production value. It's just like in this particular movie where all of us are on the edge of our seats for finally getting a proper sequel to this franchise. You know, it's not what we were expecting or really wanted, but it was like done really well. Can't deny that. Unlike the newborn from Resurrection, which had like a similar amount of effort, but that was executed just so terribly. Like it's just a mess, beginning to end, except for how it dies. The death is pretty iconic. Yeah, slurp. Yeah. It's the one part that like works really well. Other than that, it's just atrocious. So like, you know, it's done better. It's just like, like I don't know. That meme you sent just kind of sums it up really nicely. It's like everyone's all like you know, oh yeah. Oh,
yeah, 100%. Yeah. Do you want more Alien films? Same lead?
Yeah, sure. She's great.
I thought she did a great job.
Yeah, she was great.
Yeah.
Everyone in the movie was great. Honestly, they had their part to play, and they all were good. I didn't have a problem with any of the cast members. They all did a great job. Small cast too, even factoring in extras. It's like feels like it's less than 15 people. Aside from like nameless extras, like just people that talk in the movie, it's like 6 people.
Yeah.
It's a small group. Overall, like, very impressed with it. I wasn't worried because the bar is so low that all it had to be was mediocre for it to be an improvement upon what came out previously. So I was kind of prepared to like enjoy it ironically, and I enjoyed it legit.
I completely agree with you.
Fantastic, everything.
Do you put it in the same box as like Prey, or do you think it's better than that?
Oh, damn.
Yeah, because I think what Prey was to Predator, I think Romulus is the same 100%. Thing here.
100%, because Predator, much like Alien, didn't have a better track record, granted, but still similarly as flawed. Like, Predator 2 is an enjoyable movie. Predators is an enjoyable movie. Like, they're not bad. Predator from 2018 is very bad. But there's only the one. They didn't make another one, unlike Alien, which kind of double tapped us with Prometheus being like okay and Covenant being just the worst. So it's weird. But definitely comparable. Like, absolutely. Yeah. They're both big comebacks in franchises that haven't had much attention the past like 5 years. Even 10 even, if we're talking about just good stuff. Because the last thoroughly good Alien thing was definitely Aliens. Alien 3 is fine, but it's not, spectacular. So it's a big comeback. I'm really hoping that because they both came back so hard, that we'll get another earnest attempt at AVP. I know that the director has already kind of teased some funny idea where he and the other director of Prey kind of co-op one. I'm all for it.
I would love it.
Romulus, really good.
$300 million crossed.
Yeah, it's making money. That means it only has to beat Prometheus at this point, worldwide gross, to become the best.
And that's great, because what I recall, Romulus was going to be just like Prey. It was going to go straight to Hulu, and that was going to be that. And they decided against that. And I think that was the right move. Right. Because the best way to project us getting more of these is if the first one they do makes money. And this movie is definitely going to make money. So you have to assume that, hey, rich guys in suits, they want more of these. Let's fund more of these. And that's great for people like us.
Absolutely it is. Because I definitely want more. Hopefully same director returns and everything, because that's a big part of this, because the attention to detail, to understanding what the fans want, but also making it approachable for newcomers, the emphasis on practical, which is just really important for creature features in general, is kind of the lesson to be learned here. It works. You can tell when things are real and whatnot. It's spectacular all around. My only real kind of flaw is just nitpicky stuff, to be honest. I wish the cast was a little bit bigger, if only to get more creature action in the form of more people getting killed, just to have more stuff happening effect wise. I wish the monster was different for the finale, but what's there is not bad by any means. There's some really cool stuff in there. There's really cool stuff. And just some of the shots and scenes are just really visually spectacular.
Yes.
Practically everything in space is beautiful to look at.
Yep.
Great shots, and those are the effect-heavy shots. They look great. The face hugger room being that mixture of red and blue. The scene where it's the zero gravity acid situation, looked spectacular. It's got a lot of highlight moments in it that are so cool. Great. If you haven't seen it, we've obviously talked about everything spoilery wise with the big stuff, but see it. It's really good.
Yeah, I enjoyed the film quite a bit. The wife thought it was it was, like I said, the very beginning of this. Like for me, the first 45 minutes, and I can't really point to like where it stopped being like really, really, really good, but I just remember the first like chunk of the film, I was like just absolutely so pleased with how great I felt that, you know, it was going. Like I just anybody who's a fan of this series and this world is gonna really appreciate some of the things that this movie does.
Yeah, absolutely. Spectacular. Alien's back. Predator came back because Prey, I think, won like a bunch of Emmys. It was very successful. They're filming a sequel to that now. Apparently, it's called Badlands or something.
Yep, that's right.
We're getting more Predator. We already know that. So hopefully we get more Alien, and hopefully we get both of them together is what I really want here, because it hasn't really been done right yet. Even the first AVP is like just super average. I would love to see them just adapt the original comics on film. It would work so well. Just do it. Just do it.
I agree.
All right. Next time, what do you predict we're going to talk about next time? Like a prediction. We'll see if it comes true.
Ooh. I think we're going to talk about Space Marine 2.
All right. Next time, Warhammer, Space Marine 2, or not. Depends.
Or not. Have a good night, everybody.
We'll see ya.